He goes to find a friend he hasn't seen for years with a heart full of joy. But the instant they reunite, they cannot wait to hide in a corner and kiss passionately, a scene that is witnessed entirely by his friend's wife. She cannot believe what she is seeing, yet she does not expose them immediately, instead choosing to wait rationally for her husband to explain himself.
This is Jack Twist. And Jack, this is my wife, Elma. So me and Jack, we're gonna head out and get ourselves a drink. Yeah. We might not get back tonight when we get to drinking and talking and all.
However, her husband offers no explanation and instead finds an excuse to leave. Subsequently, Ennis and Jack head to a motel for a tryst, talking through the night about the past and their longing for each other over the years. It is not until the following morning that Ennis rushes home and tells his wife they are going fishing in the mountains and will not return for several days. He quickly packs a few daily necessities, his frantic movements unable to hide the joy in his heart. Alma sees everything, but for the sake of the children and the family, she ultimately chooses to retreat. The mountain Ennis speaks of is Brokeback Mountain, the place where the secret in his and Jack's hearts is buried.
You know I ain't queer.
Me neither.
On a summer day 4 years ago, Jack came to a ranch looking for work when he accidentally encountered the very shy Ennis. He originally wanted to walk over and strike up a conversation, but after seeing Ennis's youthful appearance, Jack abandoned the idea, though Ennis's handsome face still made him steal a few extra glances. Ennis notices Jack's gaze at this time, making the atmosphere somewhat awkward for a moment. Fortunately, before long, the ranch owner Aguirre appears before them.
You pair of deuces looking for work, I suggest you get your scrawny asses in here pronto.
Under Aguirre's arrangement, Ennis and Jack are tasked with managing the forestry and sheep herding together. On that sun-drenched Brokeback Mountain, Jack is responsible for watching the sheep at the summit, while Ennis serves as a forest ranger at the foot of the mountain. However, the local forestry bureau has a regulation that no fires are allowed at the summit, so Ennis is also responsible for Jack's meals. Although there isn't much communication between them, as the only companions for dozens of miles around, they help each other with tasks outside their duties. As time passes, the relationship between the two begins to undergo subtle changes. During the lonely hours of the night, Jack habitually gazes at the starlight below the mountain, while Ennis often looks up at the flock of sheep, trying to find Jack's shadow among them. One day, while Ennis is out purchasing supplies, he inadvertently encounters a grizzly bear. The fierce roar of the bear instantly scares the horses into scattering, causing Ennis to fall to the ground from his horse. It is not until late at night that he returns to the camp in a disheveled state, which causes the hungry Jack to lose his temper.
Where the hell you been? Been up with the sheep all day. I get down here hungry as hell and all I find is beans.
But upon seeing the wound on Ennis's temple, he gently uses hot water to wipe it clean, and it is this intimate gesture that quietly pulls the two of them closer. The next day, to solve their food problem, they actually risk being arrested by quietly hunting an elk. Ennis's precise marksmanship instantly captivates Jack, leaving him both happy and filled with admiration. Since fire is not allowed on the mountain, Jack has to spend a long time traveling down to eat every day, a repetitive journey that leaves him physically and mentally exhausted, so Ennis switches camps with him and takes his luggage to guard the sheep on the mountain. Facing Ennis's thoughtfulness and care, Jack cannot help but feel a surge of affection in his heart. The days pass like this one by one, as they cook together every day and confide in each other about the deep-seated loneliness in their hearts. Ennis says he lost his parents at a young age and was raised by his older brother and sister, but now they have their own families, and with no place left for him, he had to come out and support himself. Jack listens silently as a sense of heartache washes over him, because his own life has also been full of twists and turns. Jack's only way to make money is his proud cowboy dance, where as long as he can stay on a fierce bull for 8 seconds, he can earn half a month's worth of meals. But unfortunately, he often can only last less than 3 seconds, frequently leaving him in a state of starvation. Speaking of this, the two cannot help but feel a mutual sympathy, realizing they are both people of a tragic fate. After a few rounds of drinks, both of them are intoxicated beyond consciousness. It is not until night falls that Ennis realizes he still needs to head to the summit to guard the sheep, but at this moment, he cannot even stand up. So he decides to skip work and make a bed by the campfire to get through the night. Little does he know that this decision will open a brand new world for the two of them. The night in the mountains is quite cold, so Jack thoughtfully brings Ennis a blanket, letting him drift into a dream with the warmth of the fire. But after the wood burns out, the biting cold still leaves Ennis shivering.
Ennis,
What?
just quit your hammering and get in here.
The space inside the tent is very cramped, so the two can only lie down closely together. However, as their bodies gradually heat up, Jack quietly takes hold of Ennis's hand. Ennis wakes up instantly, but Jack remains persistent, first soothing him softly before taking off his jacket. Ennis's initial resistance slowly turns into half-willingness, and then his shock gradually shifts into exploration. In this way, they open the forbidden door during the long winter night. The next day, Ennis wakes up from his exhaustion and intends to leave quietly, but Jack still notices his movements.
Hey, for supper.
Ennis says nothing, only glancing back hurriedly. He believes that by fleeing, he can pretend that nothing ever occurred. But once some things happen, they can never be erased. And once some emotions sprout, they can never be suppressed. After returning to the summit, Ennis discovers the carcass of a sheep, a scene that reminds him of when he was 9 years old and witnessed the body of a man who was tortured and unalived because of a forbidden love, whose fate was as tragic as that sheep. The shadow of his childhood hangs over Ennis like a nightmare, as he fears suffering from societal criticism and persecution, ultimately meeting a tragic end. That night, Ennis sits by the campfire, unwilling to enter the tent for a long time, but the struggle of his soul eventually loses to the desire of his body. From then on, the relationship between the two grows increasingly intimate as they drive the sheep across the mountains together, enjoying the beauty brought by this forbidden bond. Those days were hard, but filled with warmth and sweetness, with every inch of Brokeback Mountain bearing their footprints and every breeze carrying their affection. However, happy times are always brief, and a sudden hailstorm completely shatters the beautiful life between the two. Under the assault of the hail, the sheep scatter in all directions, eventually mixing with the flocks of nearby residents. The markings they had painstakingly made are completely washed away by the rain. Although the two try their best to tell them apart, the results are ultimately unsatisfying. They have no choice but to offer compensation to the local residents. Bad news follows, as the early arrival of the cold means the sheep must be driven down the mountain for the winter. This signals that their job has come to an end. Ennis complains about losing a month's pay upon hearing the news, but deep down, he is filled with an unbearable reluctance to leave Jack. He sits dejectedly on the grass, feeling as though the life has been drained out of him. Jack notices Ennis's gloom and tries to cheer him up by waving his lasso, hoping to lighten the mood. This would normally be a harmless bit of play, but to the emotionally unstable Ennis, it feels like a provocation. The pent-up reluctance, guilt, and fear finally explode at this moment. The two end up in a physical altercation. During the scuffle, Jack accidentally strikes Ennis's nose, causing blood to spray out. Jack tries to help stop the bleeding, but Ennis pushes him away in a fit of pique. This punch seems to blame Jack for dragging him into this forbidden love. In reality, Ennis is blaming himself for lacking the courage to face his feelings and stand against the world with Jack. They drive the sheep down Brokeback Mountain and deliver them to the ranch owner. Upon leaving, Ennis discovers he has left his shirt on the mountain. Jack doesn't comment on the shirt, only asking if he will return next summer.
Like I said, me and Al was getting married in November.
There are no sentimental words or dramatic partings. Jack drives away in his old pickup truck, watching Ennis's fading figure in the rearview mirror until it blurs into nothingness. Ennis stands still, watching him go. Once the truck disappears, he retreats into an alley and weeps uncontrollably. The heartache is so deep it feels as though it might suffocate him. Brokeback Mountain leaves behind a knot that can never be untied, and Jack becomes a memory he cannot hold on to. After returning home, Ennis soon marries Alma. They live a life of simple moments, sliding in the snow and watching outdoor movies together. Soon, Alma gives birth to 2 daughters, and Ennis immerses himself in supporting his family. He believes that the busy routine will help him forget Brokeback Mountain entirely. He expects his life to pass in this mundane and trivial manner, but he does not realize that some emotions are like seeds buried deep in the heart, only needing a bit of light and rain to sprout again. Jack is that sunlight and that rain, capable of awakening Ennis's deepest desires, no matter how much time passes. After leaving the mountain, Jack works as a road laborer for a time. By the following spring, he returns to the foot of Brokeback Mountain to wait for Ennis's return. However, upon learning of his purpose, Aguirre's gaze is instantly filled with disdain.
You boys sure found a way to make the time pass up there. Twist, you guys wasn't getting paid to leave the dogs babysit the sheep while you stem their rows.
Jack realizes instantly that some things are destined to be regrets, and a reunion with Ennis is not to be. Returning to Texas, Jack focuses entirely on his bull riding career. This sport is filled with hardship and danger, Jack needs to stay on a fierce bull for 8 seconds to win a prize, but he still struggles to last more than 3. Even when he occasionally wins, it is barely enough to maintain a living. One day, a girl named Lorene accidentally drops her cowboy hat at the arena. Jack picks up that hat, and with it, a new destiny. They marry soon after and have a son together. But this marriage between different social classes brings Jack no happiness. Lorene's family is wealthy, and his father-in-law always looks down on him. The oppression and grievance leave Jack with nowhere to vent. 4 years pass until Ennis receives a letter from Jack. Jack says very little in the letter, only asking to meet at the old place. And that postcard is precisely a photograph of Brokeback Mountain. Ennis glances guiltily at Alma before rushing outside. On the 24th, Ennis packs his bags early and waits anxiously for Jack's arrival. He waits from dawn until afternoon, finally hearing the familiar roar of the engine. The longing between them becomes impossible to contain, and they lose control of their desires, unaware that Alma has discovered their secret. Alma expects her husband to be honest with her, but Ennis lies, claiming Jack is just an old friend. He uses the excuse of catching up to stay out all night, and even uses fishing as a pretext to be away with Jack for days. They return to Brokeback Mountain, enjoying a few moments of peace and beauty. Jack fantasizes about building a ranch here, raising livestock, and living a simple life with Ennis. But Ennis believes that is not realistic. They both have their own families, and he feels their wives and children are innocent and should not pay for their private desires. To satisfy their needs, they agree to meet here every quarter. When the time comes, they drop their work and head to their rendezvous with fishing gear in hand. Alma can no longer endure this triangular relationship and decisively ends the marriage. Upon learning the news of Ennis's divorce, Jack cannot suppress his inner delight, spending the entire journey fantasizing about a happy life with Ennis. But when he shares his vision, Ennis deals him a heavy blow.
I guess I thought that this means you.
Jack, I don't know what to say.
Ennis's eyes are full of hesitation and avoidance. The hope in Jack's eyes is slowly replaced by disappointment and pain. He looks at Ennis and finally understands that it is not the shackles of marriage holding him back. Ennis simply cannot leave the comfort of societal approval and fears the sting of public judgment. Jack is filled with pain and grievance, but can only sob alone in his truck. As night falls, he visits a red light district in Mexico, seeking the warmth and solace he finds in Ennis. But he can never fill the void in his heart. As time slips away, the two go years without seeing each other. The longing in Jack's heart gradually evolves into resentment and bitterness. Combined with the long-term oppression from Lorene's father, his anger finally erupts at a family dinner.
You sit down, you old son of a bitch! This is my house, this is my child, and you are my guest.
Although this farce earns Jack a measure of dignity, it makes him realize even more clearly that he is ultimately an outsider. He cannot help but miss Ennis more deeply, longing to return with him to Brokeback Mountain, the place where he can truly be himself. Ennis is not doing well either. Soon after the divorce, Alma starts a new family, and as Ennis witnesses her happiness, his heart is filled with guilt and envy. After dinner, Alma finally can no longer hold back the secret she has kept buried for years.
Jack nasty. You didn't go up there to fish. You and him.
Son of a, you don't know nothing about her.
Ennis is instantly enraged by Alma's derogatory remarks toward Jack. He knows he can no longer maintain his pretense and understands that what he owes Alma can never be repaid in this lifetime. Once the anger subsides, however, the years of longing surge through his heart like a tidal wave. Thus, after many years, Ennis and Jack return to Brokeback Mountain, the witness to their love. They pitch a tent just as they did before, confiding their inner grievances to one another. But soon, Jack brings up that unrealistic idea once again.
Sure, maybe you can convince Alma to let you and Lorene adopt the girls, and we can just live together herding sheep.
Jack senses the dissatisfaction and resistance in Ennis's words, and this hard-won reunion ends on a sour note. Many years pass after that, and Ennis does not remarry, choosing instead to live a solitary life. Even when women enter his world, he views them only as companions, rather than a final destination for his soul. Gradually, as both daughters grow into adulthood and Ennis's financial burdens ease, he still lacks the courage to face his heart or be with Jack.
Sometimes I miss you so much I can hardly stand it.
Ennis remains silent, though his evasive eyes have already answered everything. Jack begins to grow increasingly anxious, having waited for Ennis for 20 years. Now that they are both over 50, he desperately wants to spend the rest of his life with him. Yet Ennis remains just as cowardly, still afraid to face the judgmental gaze of the world, even making trivial excuses to cancel their scheduled meetings. Faced with Jack's interrogation,
well, what in the hell ever happened to August?
Ennis does not know how to explain himself. He understands that he owes Jack a great deal, yet it is this speechless silence that deeply breaks Jack's heart. Consequently, the grievances Jack has accumulated over 20 years explode completely at this moment.
We could have had a good life together. A real good life. Had us a place of our own. But you didn't want it, Ennis. I wish I knew how to quit you.
Then why don't you just let me be, huh? Because of you, Jack, that I'm like this.
After seeing Ennis wipe away his tears, Jack suddenly snaps out of it. He wants to comfort him, but is pushed away harshly. However, under his tenderness, Ennis finally breaks down and cries in his arms. In this moment, Ennis cannot help but recall the days on Brokeback Mountain years ago, when he comforted Jack in the same way during his low points. That day, the two cry for a long time on Brokeback Mountain, releasing all the pain and resentment of their years through their tears. They both know that this forbidden love is ultimately destined to have no outcome, and that they can never truly be together, leaving behind a lifelong regret. After that meeting, the two never contact each other again. It is not until 6 months later that Ennis suddenly receives a returned letter stamped with the words, "Recipient deceased." He cannot believe that Jack has actually left him forever. Lorene tells Ennis that Jack was involved in a car accident and was beyond saving by the time he was found. Although Lorene tries her best to hide the details, Ennis has already guessed the truth behind the incident.
He used to say he wanted his ashes scattered on Brokeback Mountain.
Lorene does not know where Brokeback Mountain is, so she guesses it might be where Jack grew up, sending half of the ashes to his parents while burying the other half in her own family plot. Hearing this, Ennis suppresses the tears in his eyes and explains to Lorene that he and Jack once herded sheep together on Brokeback Mountain. Lorene seems to understand something, but she does not probe further. While the family may not have thought much of Jack, there is no doubt she poured all her emotions into him. To fulfill his lover's final wish, Ennis travels alone to Jack's hometown, where the two elderly parents show no surprise, as if they knew all along he would come. But when Ennis states his purpose, Jack's father pays him no heed.
I know where Brokeback Mountain is. Thought he was too goddamn special to be buried in the family plot.
It is clear that Jack's father has long known about the relationship between Ennis and Jack, and he subsequently recounts Jack's own words.
I'm gonna bring him up here one of these days. We'll lick this damn ranch into shape. Build a cabin.
These were, quite clearly, the dreams the two men once shared. Although the father's tone is cold, it carries a sense of paternal love that was never previously expressed. Following this, Jack's mother leads Ennis upstairs to see Jack's room. The room is small, but on the desk sits a wooden cowboy carving that Ennis once sculpted and gave to Jack. In an inconspicuous, hidden corner, Ennis discovers two shirts hanging. This is the shirt he had accidentally left behind, which Jack secretly retrieved and tucked inside his own shirt, much like one person tightly embracing another, or like the way Jack has silently guarded him and their memories all these years. Ennis feels as though he can sense Jack's warmth and his longing. He knows that Jack spent his entire life waiting for him to be brave just once, yet never saw the outcome he desired until the very end. Ennis does not get Jack's ashes, but he takes away the two shirts tucked together. This is the only memento Jack left for him, and the only bond remaining between them. Upon returning to his own place, he tucks his own shirt back over Jack's denim shirt, as if he is finally finding the courage to embrace Jack, this belated love, and all the memories and regrets between them. The wind on Brokeback Mountain has blown for 20 years, yet it ultimately fails to scatter societal prejudice or fulfill the dream of two men being together. Jack used a lifetime of passion and waiting, yet could not buy a single brave turn from Ennis. Ennis used a lifetime of restraint and guilt, yet ultimately failed to keep the man who was running toward him with his whole heart. Everything between them is hidden in the mountain breeze, tucked within the layered shirts, and held in that belated phrase, "I swear," humble, yet burning, restrained, yet surging. We always think regret is about missing the right timing, but later we understand that some regrets are the shackles of society, the cowardice of human nature, and the helplessness of loving one another without daring to be honest. Perhaps not all love can exist in the light, and not all sincerity can reach its desired end, but the longing hidden in the heart, the unspoken pursuits, and the regrets sealed by time will eventually become the softest marks in our souls.